happens in that factory. It plays a pretty vital role in the process and manufacturing of the drones.
How are they able to get all of those materials and resources?
They're extracted from the local mines and then reprocessed. It's a pretty effective system they've developed over there, actually.
That open pit mine in Mount Hodgson seems pretty unusual for a place like this.
It's not that unusual, actually. All the mines of Aroa are open-pitted. There are a lot of mines on other islands, but Aroa is really a geological anomaly. We have such an extremely high concentration of minerals that open-pitted mining made the most sense. Of all the different types of mining methods, it has the highest yield. I don't love the impact it has on the landscape or the environment, but it's the most cost-effective choice.
Those mines seem ripe for exploitation and profit.
They are. The brain matter of the drones, the very motherboards and electronics, are crafted from the minerals of those mines. It's simply an invaluable resource.
The Arrow. That flying drone test zone in Restricted Area 01. What else do you know about it?
Oh, that place? They call it the Arrow because it's shaped like the edge of an arrow. Go figure, right? Anyway, yes, it's where they launch the drones and test how they operate at low altitudes. The drone's AI is challenged by the topography of fjords, which is why that area was specifically chosen for testing.
So is the platform built into a mountain or something?
Yes, actually. It's built on the side of a mountain on the edge of the fjords. They come and go from a platform hidden right in the middle of the mountain range.
Fascinating. Is it just me, or is there this real Area 51 vibe about the training center in that restricted area?
You've been watching too many of those old sci-fi shows, but I get why it makes you feel uneasy. That training center's a huge area for drone testing. It's like those old US nuclear testing sites from the 1950s. There's a test zone about the size of a small city that's filled with fake buildings. It helps the drones train for urban defense scenarios.
Or urban invasion scenarios?
I don't know about all that, but soldiers from Sentinel Corp do use it to train alongside lethal drones. It's all very top-secret, hush-hush stuff, done to preserve the safety and integrity of Aroa.
Oh, I get it. There's a detention center by Liberty. What's the history behind it?
It's basically a jail. It's fairly modernized, heavily guarded, and very protected. After the Outcast bombing, Sentinel Corp built it to lock up those people who threatened the security and safety of people living on the archipelago.
Well, I'm sure Sentinel only has the best of intentions.
Well, it's pretty ominous, actually. The people living there are just waiting for the law to decide what to do with them. I think it's inhumane.
Dollars to donuts, Sentinel sure as hell won't give him a fair trial. Stay safe.
You too.
How do you fit into this whole Skeltech design?
I was the head of the civic engineering department. Guess you could say I resigned over creative differences regarding Titan.
So you had something to do with designing the infrastructure here on Aroa?
Sort of. I build on top of what the New Zealand and US military started. Every culture has to do that. Build on top of existing infrastructure. The older the culture, the more infrastructure is already in place, the harder it is to modernize. That's why Europe is such a mess.
Why not just tear it up and start over?
Once you build something, like roads, you don't want to unbuild them. Plus, Skell wanted to keep all the existing structures in place as a way to preserve the island.
That seems like a pain in the ass.
I don't mind a challenge. That's what makes me so good at what I do.
So I guess your roads are gonna be a problem for the next person that comes here to design infrastructure.
I doubt it. By the time my roads need to be reworked, people will be flying around Aroa on jetpacks.
All these drones must use a massive amount of power.
We use more electricity than most third world countries.
So if we pull the plug, we can shut the whole operation down.
There's no plug. The whole island is powered by a diverse, renewable power grid. There are multiple power sources, and no one source powers everything. And all the power sources are renewable. None of them need fuel.
So you built a lethal drone army and gave it unlimited power. No one thought that might be a problem?
Skell insisted our power came from environmentally friendly sources. We have the cleanest power grid on Earth. Also the most expensive. Maybe people like you are the reason Skell had to build his utopia way out here in the middle of nowhere.
How many of these renewable power sources are there?
There's a massive solar panel farm outside Liberty and wind turbines on the west coast. There are also 2 oceanic geothermal plants in the channels between the islands. Those are powered by cold water from Antarctica and warm water from the Pacific.
There must be some kind of battery where they store all the excess power.
Just north of Liberty, there's a dam. Inside are flywheel capacitors. That's where the energy is stored.
Sounds like you built this power grid to be rock solid. I guess it's gonna be impossible to turn the lights off.
Sorry, I built this place to last.
That's the scary thing about this World 2.0 you built. It can't be rebooted. What kind of air traffic do you get on the island?
Before the perimeter of drones made leaving the island impossible, the only people flying in or out were investors or vacationers. To be honest, we've never had much air traffic. Why do you ask?
I saw an airport earlier. We might be able to land a bird in there.
To evacuate people?
Or explore. I'm just spitballing here.
The Aroa airport near Infinity has the big runway. That's where all the international flights come in.
Any smaller airstrips? Somewhere that can land helos.
Try Liberty Airport. We use it for internal jumper flights. If you're snooping around there, just be careful. Sentinel uses both of them, so they're crawling with security.
What's with the fancy net there on Erewhon's crater?
Well, it's hardly a net, but yes, it is fancy. It's bleeding-edge, multi-layered camouflage equipment that blocks visibility with surrounding environmental patterns. More importantly, it fools the drones. It's how I keep Erewhon hidden and virtually impossible to find.
So it works the way a chameleon would, blending into the background.
A little more advanced, but yes. The fabric uses a signature management system that disrupts thermal patterns, infrared wavelengths, and radio emissions so drones can't run their recognition algorithms. It won't fool the human eye. I mean, if somebody was looking at a drone feed, they might notice something weird, but...
Nobody can check thousands of hours of video feed on Aroa.
Right. It makes hiding things from drones pretty easy. They can't respond to what they don't see. It was developed by Skeltech. Luckily, I just so happen to know how to hijack it. Now Erewhon can remain safe for at least a little while.
I like your style, Jericho. I'll see you around.
Sure. I'll be seeing you.
Recognize her from Skeltech's public announcement videos. Who is she?
Her? That's Ayana Puri. She's Skeltech's CFO. She's incredibly driven and loyal. She's been CFO for over 10 years. Hell, for business purposes, she is Skeltech.
Was she close to Skell?
Oh, extremely. They used to work together at the head office in Infinity.
If they were so close, what's she doing helping Sentinel?
I have no idea.
Sentinel could be forcing her to cooperate for all we know. Maybe she's just trying to protect her people.
I'd like to believe that, but I don't know.
Skell runs all the industry on Aroa. But what about the people who live on the island? Is he in charge of their lives too?
Oh no, the people of Aroa ran their own government. The capital is in the City of Liberty. We used to hold elections and have a parliament that represents the people and creates the laws on the island.
And what happens when people break these laws?
Well, we have our own court where people can plead their case.
But Skeltech pays for all of this, right?
They do. They provide whatever the citizenry ask for.
As long as it meets their agenda.
Anyone on Aroa who disagrees with Skeltech's agenda is free to leave.
Is that Sentinel's policy?
No. No. Now that they've taken over, they've shut down everything.
I guess the government of Aroa didn't have so much power after all. Skell mentioned a data farm in Aroa. What can you tell me about it?
Shoot. What do you want to know? It's where Skeltech stores everything. I mean, the whole place runs out of that data farm. The facility is so huge, they had to build it up on a mountainside in Silent Mountain.
Must be pretty important.
You have no idea. Skell wants to use it to store all of mankind's knowledge for all eternity. I mean everything, from how to start a fire with a couple of rocks to ion thrusters. And he wants to make it available to everyone across the globe. The complete democratization of knowledge.
How could he possibly get all of mankind's knowledge in the first place?
Easy. The internet. It's all there. We just had to write the proper algorithms to pull the information out and classify it. It was a huge operation.
Was.
Well, now the Sentinel shut the internet off, we can't harvest information anymore.
Skell told me about a hospital in Liberty. What can you tell me about it?
It's one of the best in the world, for starters. Everything is state-of-the-art. They're even using AI to help make diagnoses. They do a lot of groundbreaking work, cyber prosthetics, cosmetic surgery, well-being therapy. And the best part is, it's all free to anyone on Aroa.
I'll have to remember that if I need to get patched up.
You might want to make an appointment before you go. There's been a lot more patients since Sentinel took over.
I bet it doesn't help that there's no way to get doctors or supplies in with the island on lockdown.
Even worse, Sentinel soldiers get priority. They get real suspicious of any civilians coming in with injuries. Now people are afraid to see a doctor because they're afraid of being interrogated.
I saw what's left of the Skell Foundation in Infinity. I get why everyone's so worked up about terrorists.
That day left a big scar on this island. I don't think we've ever recovered.
Why attack the Foundation? They don't manufacture anything there. All the data inside must be backed up somewhere else.
It was the face of Skeltech, the symbol of Skell's greatness.
Someone wanted to send a very clear message.
Over 40 souls were lost to send that message. Skell ordered the building not to be repaired. He wanted it to be a memorial.
You mentioned emails before. I'm assuming Aroa is connected to the internet.
Skeltech is one of the most advanced tech companies in the world. Of course we have internet. We even have our own private network. Everything is connected to a next-gen, uncentralized 6G network. It's light years ahead of the traditional server client set.
That's great, but I don't know what any of that means. Just tell me one thing. Can it connect to the mainland?
Sure. It's connected by an underwater cable that runs from Aroa to New Zealand. There's also a backup satellite connection in case the cable is ever damaged.
Great. Where can I find them?
You can't get to them as long as Sentinel Corp runs the island's security. That's a dead end. They both run through the Aurora Internet Control Center. Unfortunately, it's way up in Silent Mountain. The only way to get to it is by flying shuttle. Once Sentinel took over, the first thing they did was take control of the center and ground the shuttles.
To keep people from getting a message out?
To control and filter messages coming both in and out. They own us here.
What can you tell me about the natural hazards control?
The NHC?